INLNA board. 156 awards, the Icelandic National League of North America. And they're in coffee. We won't have the chance to do the grant for coffee and the recording. So we are here to recognize the centennial arrival of the Icelandic University, and also to honor and recognize many of the INLNA members who have made this for the years. We'll begin tonight and finish acknowledgement.
I acknowledge we are gathered in treaty one territory. Was located on the and mission body, we are issued the Coast today, the Slovene, and the Yaha. We acknowledge Manitoba is located on the homeland, River Líðí. We acknowledge Northern Manitoba, these lands, consist of lands, we respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making and remain committed in partnership with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration.
Thank you, Mara. I would like to now start off to continue with tonight's ceremony. Who is the crown comment this year. She's going to do the instrumental, and that's Dr. Long from Vancouver, who will sing the vocal leads in the national anthems in the United States and in Canada. What is the and we will stand for the national anthems. If you are. Just So, the INLNA award, evening is a really, really special, celebration. And there's a lot of work really behind the scenes for these events, and, definitely want to thank again the Gimli community. And, tonight we're celebrating and the dedication of leaders in the community, who give back to the LNA, and the Western, the community as a whole and the local communities, and we're really proud of the people that are going to honor tonight, for their to enrich our community. I want to begin by introducing the board national week. And I want you to stand as I call your name. Past President Ashley World. There you are. First is on her, can't be here tonight, but she's done a tremendous amount of work over the last 3 years for the INLNA. Brought a lot of our financial, structure into line with rules and regulations, which we was, anyway, but. Like to, call out to our secretary, Amy Anderson. Is everybody secretary? Daphne is really amazing. She is, just has everything organized, ahead of what we're done. Our membership recruitment coordinator, John Monson, could be here with us tonight, but he's been, wonderful support. She's been many, many years. And then guitar. We have, two more branches, Joey and Laura Jones. We got to get these today. And now we're going to put it down here. Our fundraising directors, and our government director is, Lauren Gurjolson. Or Needham. I wanted to, make a call out to, Dennis Olson. Are you in the room, Dennis? Yeah, there you are. Dennis, as we retire now, and, but he has retired this year, and, but, you know, I didn't know how many years you've been on the board. And if you didn't know, you know, you're. And I'm new to the board, but, I missed it when, he just was always there to know what the procedure was, what to do next, and great, and, gave advice. Dennis is a member of the Icelandic Canadian Club of Western Manitoba, Brandon, and he served as president of the ICCWN for 5 years, 2017. And the president of the was a valued member of many years. Dennis also, chief of the University of Brandon. So, I would say that she wrote to the curious words, Carol said, Dennis has always been a huge part of and continues to be so. We have seen and appreciated how passionate he was and he is about his heritage and the time that binds together. We're all grateful for your participation and leadership. Thank you, Dennis. You're giving so much of yourself and time to make our folks. We can have that. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. And I'll let, we speak, we just want to make, just a brief acknowledgement about the wrong.
We lost a member that was very significant to the INLNA many, many years as well. Outside of the Icelandic community, he was a tremendous man, and we lost him very recently. We will be having a service in the center in a week, so 3 weeks from now. We're going to have a service, and yeah, he was a tremendous man. His wife Helen will be moving out east. Thank you, Dr. Wood. I'm just gonna come back. some people in here who may not have been here earlier when we introduced ourselves.
Oh, that's
And part of the other people that was missing, and that's what. That's spectacular. Thank you. Anita. So I am the vice president of the INLNA and also the president of the Calgary Club. Very contingent here, go Calgary. And I would really also like to thank the Gimli Club. Amazing, amazing job. What we do right now at home is tremendous. The facilities, it was amazing. I think it's just blowing my mind. I'm super impressed. Thank you, Gimli. Okay. To begin the program, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Bill Alderson, who I'm the opinion has written Icelandic. God is not a fish inspector. What the bears said, Tales of New Iceland, and his recent novel, In the House of Shadow. In addition to many other novels and short stories, the inaugural winner Joan in 2017, and an INLNA member through the Icelanders of Victoria. We have asked Bill to join us tonight to speak to the significance of New Iceland and American community on 150th Street.
Can you hear? Oh, there, going, yeah, okay. I'm Bill Paul. I was born here, brought up here, returned every summer my entire life, so I'm really connected in some way. Gordon Trelane and my school in Victoria, Richard and Margaret Beck, this past term. And he said in one of his lectures, over the past 60 years, Iceland has been transformed from poor, essentially a peasant country, to an extremely affluent, modern. It is a process that has not been without national and individual pain. He might have been talking about the Icelandic settlers who came here to this place 150 years ago. Iceland was a place of isolated farm, no cities, no roads, rivers had to be forded, and a system of indentured labor. Indentured labor. That means you worked on a yearly contract on a farm. The farmer said how much work you did, what you ate, where you slept. The law said you be attached to a farm. The Industrial Revolution has not yet reached. People risen for opportunity on this ground, 150 years ago, our opportunity seekers came here to New Iceland. It was such a short time ago that I knew two of my who were among the original settlers of New Iceland. My great grandmother, Golder, came with the large in 1876. She was free. Her newly born brother died in smallpox. I assume that Ricka and her parents survived because they were not against smallpox in Iceland. Was supposed to have been. When Ricka was told to be home, she went to Fort Garrett for opportunity. I think she got a job in the kitchen. She married an English William Bristol. They moved back together. She had 13 children. Two of her sons went with three other young people on a sailboat to Victoria. They were caught in a storm. They all drowned. her sons that tied him to the mast. 5 young people lost from a small fishing village. This did not happen in some faraway exotic place. Their bodies were brought to the Gimli dog. People have asked me, what was it like to grow up in an Icelandic town like Gimli in an area called New Iceland? As a child, I used to go to Riga. My great grandmother came at the age of 3. My mother, she played. I lay on the kitchen floor. Sometimes at the living room, watched over by portraits of stern men, long years. I looked at pictures in a photograph album with a stereo. However, I never stayed long in that room. Rick had a large statue of the Falcon in her living room. I was terrified. I heard stories about William Bristol, the first non-Icelander to become a fisherman, learned to fish with his brother-in-law. There's another detail of her life. Paul Olsen was actually a doctor, but people changed their names to adapt to English culture. Fishermen were still using huskies and sleds to go to their nets when I was a boy. There was the livery stable for the Gimli Theatre. Gooder Johnson owned it. The green birds had brisk milk, and the farmers came with horse and wagon to get their grain from. There was a log cabin where they could stay overnight. This is not ancient history. Rick lived until I was 18. And now I'm standing here speaking to you at a celebration of the 1875 arrival of the immigrants. Rick's parents, Gottschalk Sigurdsson and Olfrieder Johannesdotter, then Ricka, daughter Blanche, who became my grandmother, her son Albert Herbert, better known as Dempsey, my father, and me, my daughter and son, the children, and my great-grandson. I think that adds up to 8 generations. Think about a 3-year-old girl having made this journey, standing on the Gimli beach. She had boarded a sailing ship from Iceland to Líðí, a train to Glasgow, a ship to Quebec, and a train to Winnipeg, and then traveled from Winnipeg to New Iceland. Think of all she endured and what she survived, and all those she gave life to. On the other side of my family was my great-grandfather, Petfield Albert. He lived until I was 6. He used to give me peppermints when we visited. I was scared to go to the basement because he kept his coffin there, set on 2 carpenter benches beside the cold room where he kept his potato. He had come as a teenager with his father, Valger Jonsson, who was already ill. I believe they were hipsomography, welfare cases. Their way paid to get rid of it. Valger died 2 years later. I've been told he was buried in law, and that area is now washed away. Kettle and Sophia, Steinbjörn, our daughter, had 3 children who lived to adopt them. They didn't become pension servants. Valentinus Balderson, the gold medalist in mathematics, is the daughter, Stina, who became an artist, craft person, and brilliant photographer, and grandfather, Peggy, who became a master carpenter. They are all part of my life, part of who I am. I am with them all. Many of us were baptized and converted in the Lutheran Church. Our oldest minister complicated life. We were living with wartime gratitude, yet at Christmas, we all got a small bag of candy and orange. We walked to the Christmas service over Snowbreak. After Holly and Bruce the young we always stopped there after the service for Stupla and David trees. Bruce took the Icelandic rule that you should have 17 kinds of trees served. That got to the essential rule. We did not eat water shark, but we ate slug, deer, and rhubarb, and nuts. On our Christmas table of vines, along with the turkey, was venison, pickled chicken, stuffed sunfish, and even roasted bear and beaver tail. We were becoming Canadian. However, as important as Christmas was, it was the Icelandic celebration that we waited for with its chance to win a quarter in a race. A quarter would buy us a hot dog and a soft drink. With the excitement of relatives returning who had continued on westward from the Winnipeg. Always, there were speeches in the park, the music, the dance, all the gathering together, of friends and family. I think of our people as our, like the Vikings, they traveled great Disney. That journey went. The Spanish thought and thought would continue over the years until the Icelandic immigrants reached the point possible. First Vancouver, then Victoria, British Columbia. There were Icelandic settlements on 110 miles. Icelandic cultural communities both. Many of these travelers came to Iceland before they headed further west. The Canadian American was easier to cross than it is now. To Point Rock, Lake, Bellingham, and Marietta. The wonderful book, Coast by Margaret J. Benedictson, and translated by a group of volunteers, tells these people's histories. I see these people as people. I see these people's stories as part of the great immigration history that must be preserved. Some of the early settlers that New Iceland walked to North Dakota looking for the opportunity of better life. Today, under the inspiration of guidance, Icelandic roots is helping preserve our history. As well, there are publications that have helped to save Icelandic North American history. You probably need to search for them in secondhand because many are looking and now there are famous books, Icelandic rivers and Icelandic, but also legendary books that mention the law. There is, of course, Gladys Peterson's History of Fishing. Hold it up, right? Hold it up. Hold it up. Gladys Peterson's History of Fishing on Lake Winnipeg, Vikings on a break. The story is truly sad, detailing all the time we learned. First, provide farming, keeping people from starving, to creating an industry that still exists today. There is a heart-wrenching account in Wakeful Night. These are praised by all of the Stephenson. One day, Stephenson saw his friend in Líðí traveling to attend the local lab. Only the wealthy landlord could afford his sons to break it and to get to Denmark. Peter says that Stephen was overcome with grief because he couldn't go. Small meetings. The dream and hope was that education would be for everyone. Stephen came to Canada, and in spite of the physical distance rights, became one of the most respected folk. His students had been accepted on him. He would have been going to that school. It was Miss Stephenson, our beloved French and English teacher, who dedicated her life to teaching us and left her state to build our lives. The settlers came to North America would have been proud. When you have a moment, walk one block to the Gimli library that Miss Stephenson funded. It wasn't just the billionaire Henry who believed in education and life. This attitude toward writing and literature came with acceptance. I've said many times that the community provided acceptance for becoming a writer. When my first book, Black Flowers, came out, he's been, I think, getting a daughter with a lot of saying, why? The best way in the world. Well, came to the table, and I thought she was nervous. He destroyed my display. Would you like to buy a book? I said. And she said, I'll take 6. What community better than that could any right to the book? The list is too long to recount, but no one can think of all. The David R's and Calvin R's and Christine Jensen and numerous other writers are from your life. The Gimli has a Ferguson bookstore. David told me that when he was growing up, he thought the characters in the sagas that his family talked about, the characters were neighboring farms. He landed on a salmon bar, were sheltered by second-hand Hudson Bay tenants, whose first house, many block cabin, survived under the dire conditions. The result was crowded, inadequate shelter. Some of the food the Icelanders were sold in Winnipeg was the food quality. Once the players froze over to keep himself. With the help of local natives, they learned how to fish under the ice. And John Ramsey, up in Asia, helped feed them. Yet in spite of these conditions, before that first Christian, Carolyn Taylor, the niece of John Taylor, opened a school in English. 30 people in a row. The next year, when the smallpox started, the school was temporarily expanded. 102 people died from smallpox. The community was devastated. Once the smallpox was over, Jane Taylor restarted the school, this time with 63 students. That's what I said. No matter where they learned English, but here. There was no grain grown in Iceland, but like an immigrant, including my grandfather, became great. At the beginning of the Icelandic migration, there was here our heritage belonged. We were the golden age of the Vikings, beside our history. We are here today in the heart of Iceland, celebrating our history and our heritage. An important part of heritage is education. In Gimli, my grandfather, Swanberg, and others built the monument. Gimli Park was created. Icelandic celebration started in winter. There was also an Icelandic celebration in May. The school that was so sought after in Gimli went through many permutations. Even after the brick school, in the second and third avenue, we went to school in the church, in the town hall, in the skating rink. But then the new class, in Winnipeg, the Icelandic department, the academy were created and funded. And doctors and professors and successful business people of Icelandic descent emerged. Because what had been missing was not lack of intelligence or lack of imagination, but opportunity. Education matters. Younger generations need schools, libraries, and books to teach them the knowledge, the skills, and the accomplishments of those people that came there to teach, to risk everything for a better life, not only for themselves, but for generations to come.
We have a really special treat now.
These are the recipients of the convention registration grant. Young people being sponsored by the INLNA to attend convention and who we look forward to seeing at many conventions. There's Rebecca Ray Hagan. And Amelia. Rios. Here. How old are you? Oh, yes. Please come up here to see your certificates.
Yeah, we'll have you come up to the stage.
Which is your name?
Thank you so much. We'll have to, Not here?
He's on his way. He's just a little slow.
Yeah.
This is a really special award that the INLNA has been doing for several years to encourage youth to attend the convention. Otherwise, it might be convention cost. It's been a big commitment of the INLNA to support a youth with a grant.
Even better, we brought us a whole bunch of Icelandic.
Oh. Cool. That plate's not working.
Right now, they offer a variety of work to recognize, the impact there is a make on the community and a lot and beyond. And the nomination, I nominated, to be submitted by any member of the, organization, I nominate a champion, which is one individual. The nominations do come from the
Okay, tonight, we will honor 4 lifetime membership award winners. The nominations to come up and share a little bit of their award recipients. Yeah, one of them. Okay, so Vivian of the Gimli Icelandic Canadian Society nominated 2 members of the Gimli Club for their long service to the GICS.
That's right.
That's all I'm gonna do.
If you're not already sick of me. I'm standing in for. She is now out of the hospital. She's back to Gimli. Here, tomorrow. So I, as the vice president of the Gimli Icelandic Canadian Society, GICS, I would like to, provide, we nominated 2 of our members. I'm going to speak first about Joanne Washington. She has been a long-standing member of the Gimli Icelandic Canadian Society. Joanne, you should probably come up here. Everybody needs to see you. This lady is someone that you would have met in the pavilion. She has been a tireless. So she has, year after year, she has raised her hand to volunteer for Society for Arts and Activities. She has taken the role of managing our display table at the Icelandic Festival's Cultural Pavilion. She arranges the table and it sets out the displays of items that she stores for us from one year to the next. She arranges the staffing of the table during the 2 days of the cultural pavilion is open, making sure that there's always a couple of volunteers scheduled for their shifts, and also taking every shift throughout the day as the third person to greet visitors and explain what the INLNA and GICS does for all of us. Joanne has taken a role in planning, organizing, and helping out at the table at family fun tombola event that we have in the fall every year. This event brings out folks from our community, and along with the fun, it is also a significant fundraiser for the organization. Along with these two main society projects, Joanne attends every meeting and steps in whenever there is a program or a project to organize and assist. Joanne is also one of the GICS members who is a direct descendant of the very first Icelandic baby born in New Iceland Reserve in the fall of 1875. I think this is what Bill was talking about. We have people among us that were there in those early days. Joanne takes part in our commemorative walk to the rock every year, meets us at the White Rock Memorial for the photos, and then hurries back to the New Iceland Heritage Museum, where she helps with coffee and goodies that are served to participants of the walk. In short, our society recognizes that Joanne's favorite words are, "I can help." And I have this is Joanne. So now, do we need a picture? I think we need a picture of me. Joanne, do you want to say anything?
I'd like to say that I'm only one of many who work many things to do with the Icelandic and to do with the, with Gimli, Icelandic Canadian Society. And many help.
Now I'm going to ask Janet Eastville, because I know that she is one of the most reserved and helpful people. And I know this is not going to be easy, but you have to come up here because you have to do this. So this is Janet Eastville. And was our society treasurer for some 15 years, retiring from the position just last fall. And during that time, the financial management of the GCIS accounting went through some significant changes in that our organization became a Canada Revenue Agency registered charity. That's a big deal. Hard to get. The bookwork and the annual filings are all very ably coordinated through Janet's capable management of our finances. She also oversaw our bank accounts being transferred from one institution to another, to our local credit union. It was amalgamated there first to the regional entity and then again to the provincial credit union. Within that time, he moved us into the 21st century, setting up an e-transfer account to facilitate members paying their dues and financial transfers. The e-transfer has been quite popular with our membership. Several of them live outside of Gimli, the Gimli area, and this has made paying membership dues easier and more convenient. Janet has also taken a role in helping organize and manage the GICS float at the Icelandic Festival parade. She has offered her assistance and provided us with her truck to tow the float through the parade. That's another big deal. If you have, if you have ever attended an Icelandic Festival parade, you will know that our float has been cheered on by what is estimated as a crowd of some 10,000 onlookers each year. And although she has retired from her treasury duties, Janet continues to be an enthusiastic member of our society. She volunteers at GICS information table at the Icelandic Festival's cultural pavilion each year, joins us to on the walk to the rock in October, attends our meetings and the Yule events and all our various GIC activities throughout the year. So congratulations, Janet. Now,
For the, recognizing me, I guess, for nominating me and. Yeah.
congratulations. Over with me.
Here it is. They decided the photos I need that.
Oh,
Here.
The flags in the back.
Okay. In the back, so he can take
Okay,
it.
smile for the cameras.
If you try turning. This way. It's.
It's like being in Hollywood.
Mhm.
That's, and then I'm moving on.
Yeah. All right, I take the photograph. Actually, really what we should do is that I'm studying more and more. Really appreciate actually photographs going back. There's like about 51 more people and taking photos. To it that they collected over the years and so I think we've gone back to 2008, normally for huge dollars, fantastic, but we'll be reaching out to people. You know, 15 or 20 years ago. And, because it's great to have it in our history. Now I'd like to invite, Lisa Johnson Maloney, from the Icelandic and from nomination she made, for her.
Having spoken for this meeting. I feel incredibly privileged to be here this evening to present the INLNA Honorary Lifetime Membership Award for Karen Bond. This nomination is not just about recognizing Karen's incredible contributions to the Icelandic Canadian community, but also about celebrating the heart and soul that she's poured into everything that she's done over the years. Karen has truly devoted herself promoting and preserving Icelandic culture in Winnipeg and throughout the province of Manitoba. But what makes her contributions stand out even more is the genuine passion and care she brings to every role she takes on. She doesn't just lead, she inspires. Whether it's through her work with cultural organizations or her dedication to the broader community, Karen has always been there, putting in the time and effort to ensure that our Icelandic heritage continues to thrive. Many of you know her as the past president of the Icelandic Canadian Front, where she helped create events that brought the community together in ways that not only celebrated, but also connected us to our roots in Iceland. She has also served as the president of the Jón Sigurðsson chapter of the IODE, where she helped foster unity and a sense of pride among all of us. Right now, Karen is the president of the Roseburg Institute, a role that she's had since 2021, and her leadership has been critical in keeping this vital publication alive and relevant to our community. And of course, we all remember her as the Fjallkona in 2016, an experience that allowed her to represent the very essence of Icelandic beauty and tradition. Let's get back to Karen. But what really sets Karen apart is that her impact goes beyond cultural events and organizations. She was a dedicated teacher for many years, touching the lives of so many young people, and even after retiring, she continued to serve on not only one board, the Public Utility Board, but also, I just learned this yesterday, with the board of the MLCC, Manitoba Liquors and Water, bringing her thoughtful leadership to another important civic role. Karen has been an active, engaged member of the Icelandic Front for well over 10 years, and throughout that time, her commitment, generosity, and sense of community have been a constant source of inspiration. She's the kind of person who just does not talk about making a difference. She truly rolls up her sleeves and does it. That's why, with the utmost sincerity, I would like to congratulate Karen Bonning as she receives the INLNA Honorary Lifetime Membership Award. It is so well deserved.
Exactly, so that was embarrassing. Awesome group of people and everything. Doesn't matter if it's the Lord, from the IOD, everybody is just been incredible. All of it's all the work in the community, and I think that's real strong. Thank you.
Would Bird Goodness from the Stefan Yes Icelandic Club please join us? Present the final honorary membership award.
Stephen G. Stephenson Icelandic Society in Vermont has nominated Dorothy Murray for this honor. Dorothy Murray is a longtime member of INLNA's Stephen G. Stephenson Icelandic Society, or SGSIS, and the Vaughan Icelandic Ladies League in Margaretville, Alberta. Dorothy's deep connection to Icelandic culture is rooted in her heritage. Being of pure Icelandic descent through both of her parents, she inherited a rich cultural legacy that she has embraced and celebrated throughout her life. As a member of SGSIS since the early 1980s, Dorothy has played a pivotal role in cultural events and initiatives which celebrate, preserve, and promote Icelandic heritage. Dorothy participates in Icelandic community activities including the June 7th Independence Day celebration and the Summer Cream Day Festival, the Taste of Margaretville, Christmas in Margaretville, Wine Survivor, and the annual Cookie Walk. Dorothy had the honor of being crowned and proudly served her term as Alberta's Falconer in 1994, as well as belonging to SGSIS. Dorothy has been a member of Margaretville's Vaughan and Icelandic Ladies' Aid since 1986. Vaughan was founded 134 years ago by women of Icelandic ancestry who had just arrived in Alberta. Dorothy has been a member of Vaughan for 39 years and remarkably has served as Vaughan's president for the past 34 years. Today, Vaughan is active and alive, focusing on preserving and sharing Icelandic history and traditions. The group delivers cookies to seniors during the Christmas season and gathers for workies to bake pannukakkur, traditional flatbread, and vinatarta to be sold in the Margaretville Museum's Kakistova coffee shop. From 1891 through 1972, the minutes of Vaughan's meetings were taken in Icelandic. Dorothy was instrumental in having these historic minutes translated from Icelandic to English. Dorothy has undertaken archival projects, including documenting oral pioneer histories, research and writing history of and promoting the preservation of art. Embracing and exploring her family history, Dorothy has been a member of Icelandic Roots since 2016 and a subscriber to Alberta Games Greenland for 24 years. She has taken Icelandic language classes and traveled to Iceland 3 times, including participating in the Snorri Plus 2018 with consent. Dorothy and Sandy have attended 11 INLNA conferences in Canada and the US. And Dorothy is a kind and generous person who readily shares her time, enthusiasm, talent, skills, and knowledge. Her unwavering dedication and active participation in preservation and promotion, along with her exceptional contributions and commitment, make Dorothy an excellent choice for this honor of lifetime membership.
Thank you very much. I feel incredibly honored.
So now, we will be presenting the Lawrence S.G. Johnson Life Achievement Awards. Just before we move on to that, this evening, there are 2 daughters. You like his name in their honor. I want to say we'll want to so at the end of the evening, on that. The political recipients for contributions not only to the Icelandic community, but also to the community at large. This award honors Larry's memory while annually recognizing a member of Iceland who has contributed to the betterment of the world through a life volunteer contribution.
And tonight we have 2 equally worthy recipients. And I would like to call up their respective nominees and presenters for this honor. So with Stephanie Rinaldi, president of the Icelandic British Media, he's come up to the stage and, nominated Rinaldi.
I'm kind of nervous to me. Like, Norm, how about if you come up too? So while he's walking up, I am very pleased to be here today to present our own Norm paper with this prestigious award. Is Lawrence Johnson's brother. It's a member of and a long time friend of my late mother and a friend of mine as well. Anyways, before we can explain why we felt Norm was a deserving candidate, I just want to tell you a little something about Norm. Okay, for those of you who know Norm, I'm sure you know what a friend is. And but did you know he has a super? Okay, so his superpower is connectivity, and I'm pretty sure that the moment he walks into the room, he starts to circulate. He greets people he doesn't know. He looks for people that he doesn't recognize, introduces himself to them, learns a little, and then moves on to his next victim, and then but then goes back to person A that he thought this person would be a really good match for person D, and introduces them to one another, and then leaves them to chat while he walks away and goes continuing through the room circling. And that is Norm. He loves his Icelandic heritage, and he loves connecting people to others. Now I'll tell you a little bit. That's true. That's good enough. It's because you see, you know, of all the work that he has done. And so now I will begin with what he will find very intolerable, and I will talk. Norman Ayford was born in Vancouver, BC, to four husbands, Patty Ayford and Hilda Blair. When Norm was 2, his family moved back to Manitoba, where he was raised in a close-knit Icelandic community. After completing grade 11, Norm relocated to BC, where he eventually started a family with his supportive wife, Sharon. Together, they had 2 wonderful daughters, Kim and Taryn, with whom they remained very close. While raising his family and already holding an economics degree, Norm decided to return to school to become a teacher, because as you know, teachers serve. Before retiring in 2000, he received the David Kendall Master Teacher Award for his outstanding service to students with exceptional needs in BC. In 1995, Norm joined the Icelandic Canadian Club of BC, and for 3 decades, Norm has devoted himself to preserving and promoting Icelandic culture and heritage through his unwavering commitment to the ICCDC, Hub Icelandic Care Home, the Scandinavian Center, Look Book Industry Fund, and numerous other organizations and initiatives. His leadership has been instrumental in saving vital community institutions, creating cultural spaces, and fostering collaboration within the Icelandic community in BC and beyond. In 2003, upon learning that Hub might be torn down, Norm joined the board of the Icelandic Care Home of Society. He played a pivotal role in leading the construction of the new building of Icelandic Harbor, which opened in 2008. Weekly planning meetings were held in Westminster, further strengthening the bond between Hub and the ICCDC. Norm became president of Hub in 2009 and still serves in that role. During the 2008 financial crisis, Norm proposed creating a donation fund to support those in need in Iceland. The initiative was adopted by the INLNA and continued throughout that challenging time. In 2012, when the ICCDC sold Iceland House and became co-owners of the Scandinavian Community Center, Norm was instrumental in converting a former soccer change room into the spectacular Icelandic room that we have today. In 2013, Norm joined the ICPC Board of Directors and since then has held many roles. President in 2015 and 2018, vice president in 2016 and 2017, SCCS representative multiple years, and membership coordinator since 2013 and still continues in that role. He also chaired the 2016 INLNA convention in Richmond, BC, and continues to maintain strong ties between HUB and the ICPC. When Iceland was next in line to provide president to the Scandinavian Center, Norm stepped up, serving as SCCS president in 2014 and again in 2019 as every 5 years. Center. He still represents Iceland on the SCCS Building Committee and the Tuesday Gang, which is a group of members that get together, do repairs and find deficiencies, make sure that the building is up to code, etc. He has been the Midsummer Festival ambassador numerous times and Midsummer Committee member since 2012. He chaired the Elevator Committee until its completion in 2019, which included the installation of an accessibility ramp. In 2024, he received the SPCS President's honoring his long-standing and profound contributions to the Scandinavian Community Center Society and the Nordic community at large. In 2021, Norm joined the Liberal Streamline Marketing Committee. Through creative ideas, he helped BLH to launch a campaign to eliminate their federal pandemic loan in a timely fashion, avoiding interest and bankruptcy. And beyond, as if this isn't enough, but he's a great guy. He does an awful lot, but no. Icelanders and the Scandinavians. No, there's more. So beyond his Icelandic and Scandinavian community work, Norm has devoted the past 15 years to supporting the Métis and North Delta communities. North Delta is the community in which he lives. In 2010, Norm and his wife Sharon joined the Silver Tip Swingers Métis dance group, embracing together. They have performed traditional dances at numerous festivals over the years. Also during this time, Norm became involved with the BC Métis Federation, Nova Métis Heritage Society, and Métis Nation BC, chairing several AGMs for the BCMF. In 2018, after chairing an AGM, he was presented with an honorary sash for his. In North Delta, where Norm lives, Norm has significantly contributed to the Delta Heritage Society, serving on its board since 2018, including 2 terms as vice president. He sits on the City of Delta Elections Committee and chairs the North Delta Advisory Group, which organized a series of history presentations that were later compiled into a book, North Delta History and Heritage. The City of Delta formally recognized each member of the DHS and NDA involved with the publishing of the book, the 2020 Delta Brand. In 2019, yes, it's mostly chronological. In 2019, Norton helped facilitate a series of 5 writing sessions entitled My Story, My Way. This experience inspired him to write a family history for his cousin, outlining their Icelandic heritage. Yes, that's right, a book. Anyways, during the pandemic, Norm ensured NDA could keep collaborating by introducing Zoom meetings, thus enabling the group to publish the 4th edition of the Delta Heritage Book. These efforts reflect Norm's deep dedication to preserving and passing on community heritage, regardless of what that heritage is. Norm remains tirelessly committed to HUB, the ICPC, the SPCS, local Heimskringla, and their affiliate groups. He continues to support Métis organizations and actively serves of the Delta Heritage Society and the North Delta Advisory. Truly, this man doesn't. It is with great confidence and pleasure that we award Norm Avery with the INLNA Lawrence S.G. Johnson Lifetime Achievement Award.
Where's the makeup? Makeup. Oh, Stephanie, you did a great job. Thank you. It takes a while. And it doesn't seem really. It is one day. And things happen. This vest that I'm wearing, I bought in this building. That was the first event here. It works and it works. I'd like to thank everyone. I congratulate Margaret. I'd also like to thank my wife Sharon, daughters Kim and Tammy, grandchildren, Trevor, Kevin, and Chris. For their support over the years. It's amazing what grandchildren and young people in general can help can do to help the individual with their life and their perspective. Our work is not just for ourselves. We're doing it for them too. Just as those who came before us did it for us. I love the title of this convention. Though years and centuries pass, is a title which almost invites. This is my thought. Though years and centuries pass, I thought getting old would take longer. Over the years, having my wife Sharon and I to attend, I didn't have the joy. It appears that the band convention will likely be the last that we will do it together. This year, because of health, she's probably missing me sitting beside her in her folding chairs, watching hockey and cheering for the Jets. There was a golden. Janet Sugar go. Some of you might have noticed conventions. If there was the slightest hint, little line dance music, Sharon and I would be up there dancing. Two step. My blended with Sharon's Métis heritage. Right here in Manitoba. Peter Fiddler, James Curtis Burke. So, at the events, when Sharon and I put on our picture, black pants, we're joining our four Métis friends, Bill and Maxine, Dale and Lois. We did a silver days. Opening up was always so many stories. You know, that I've already given this thank you speech so many times in my head. You know, that actually all the information is already on there. I want you to know that this is all the names that you remember have been mentioned, and all the conventions have been revisited. All the memories have been revamped. I am truly grateful to each and every one. We we've had a really good time together at conventions, but perhaps not as much fun. I have heard Margaret in the beer about that bus trip to Margaret in the snowstorm, the subsequent partying and singing that went on into the wee hours of the morning. Somewhere. It's some bus. I've learned a lot from the stories of bus trips, and the people attending convention. I've learned fascinating information. I've learned how to have a positive attitude. Because in reality, there's more work to do. And we know that the people just like us here today have been doing that since they landed. I have learned that working together, we can make things better for all. And I especially think of the young people and the seniors we have. I have learned that doing work and working with you helps me stay young. It helps me be a bit more excited during my daily life. And I look forward to our next event, our next project, our next excuse to have a cup of coffee and some beer. Because I know I don't get a chance to tell my story. I will gradually lose my identity. So, if together we continue to create opportunities to tell our Icelandic heritage story, there's a better chance that language will hook up sometime and become a born again Icelander. To all of you, I say thank you for the work that you do. Today, I celebrate because it's the oldest I've ever been. It's also the youngest I've ever been. So if I don't do something worthwhile today, what's the point? And there is no more worthwhile than I've ever been than right here with you at the 2020.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. So I'd like to invite, winners of the, awards to the stage. So Nancy Carr, go present the award to Margaret.
And there, Nancy's gonna be to use. Okay.
Wow. This is quite amazing. Welcome, friends and Frankers. What an honor and privilege it is to give this. Microphone. What, oh, there, okay, that might help. What an honor and privilege it is to give Margaret Nee Anderson this highly, Margaret. Here's the Kleenex. This highly respected from your community, from people you've had interactions with for so many years. It's just incredible. Margaret has had an interesting adventuresome career within the LEIC, the Calgary Club. She's met two Icelandic presidents, Olafur Ragnar Grimsson and Vigdís Finnbogadóttir. How many can lay claim to that? Margaret has held the position of president as well as editor of the LAIC newsletter. And anybody ever got a newsletter from her, it was something to remember. It spoke to your whole being. Thus far, she has been the longest standing editor of our club. Congratulations. Margaret also has had been involved with, I went to her and I said, Margaret, let's do a modern book. We're gonna do one that knocks one out of the park. Let's handpick our team. We handpicked our team and we had constructed an amazing cookbook that we can always be part of our legacy, and that we gave all the money earned, and we did it completely debt-free, and we gave all the monies to that conference. Just one of the feats she did. Her beloved husband, Ken, of 54 years, made famous statements of them all. And it sums up their marriage. Never make Margie mad. Well, they had 4 boys. Can you imagine? So it just goes to the testimony as to how strong and amazing the marriage that they have. Because that comment, it just is priceless. Mark has been very active in the diving community with her sons. It became so important to her that she became a diving coach. Not many women in that field at that time. So kudos to her. Her volunteering in the community continued to be with the interest and the commitment. She joined the Daughters of the Nile in 1995. They worked alongside of the Shriners to raise money for sick kids. Margaret held interest in sports, partaking in bowling and golfing. Not many can say, hey, I did all in one. This lady can. Margaret is the ama of many grandchildren as well as great-grandchildren. She had 4 grandchildren partake in the snorting program. In her close to 30 years commitment to the club, that meant giving 5 years back for each individual kid. That's an amazing feat that she did that. Marg was also very adventurous in soul that took her overseas. As well, she attended conventions in both Canada and the States. When in 1908, Gwen Mann, that's Gwen Mann right there, and Margaret wrote the manual for future conventions, and it still is in effect today. So these 2 ladies are amazing. The team were diligently keeping notes throughout the entire preparation. The ladies in their team organized and executed a successful convention. That was in the convention in Calgary downtown. I don't remember the year because I was around. But 2008. That was in 2008. Thanks, Mark. Mark proved to be a mentor to the board members and volunteers alike. In 2013, Margaret participated in the Snort Plus program. This proved to enhance her strong as the bond belief. She completed a published book dedicated to her Icelandic family. Not many of us can say that. On that note, will this group, entire group, please stand and give Margaret well-deserved accolades. Okay, I'm going to share the Kleenex now.
Quick picture.
Do I get this?
Yes. You can say it. Go ahead. I'll do this out. Just everyone who's standing there. Go.
Thank you to the leaders and Icelandic club for nominating me to this prestigious award. Thank you to the Icelandic National League, North America, for selecting me along with Norman Akers. He's amazing. Congratulations, Norman. I've known that I've known Norman for many years and you. Also, I'd like to congratulate all the newly elected honorary members. I can't help but think into the Sigurdsson and his wife. And Spring Sullivan and Monica Youngstober. And here, right here. In 1876 and 1887. And I think, oh my goodness gracious, I would be here to him survive. My grandmother was 2, and he survived the small epidemic. And then shortly after that, I got the American. I loved it. Went straight to Winnipeg. And my grandfather figured their health dead in the first group that formed this now in 1919. He was so surprised to see him. I thought he must be smiling. I'm happy that I'm carrying on this tradition. I'm sure they must be proud of me that I carried on after that. I therapy. We've had 3 times. And worked with the club to make sure that 4 of my grandchildren and as our grandchildren coming. Yeah. But anyway, I'd just like to thank everyone for this very special award. And I hope everyone has enjoyed the rest of the convention. And by the way,
Okay. Okay, thank you.
the next we would like to present the Joan Elizabeth Cannon Award. This award is to recognize individuals who have been outstanding in the promotion of Icelandic culture and heritage by way of literature, arts, and media. I want to invite past President Ashley Overton to present the 2020 Joan Elizabeth Award.
Thank you to our winners for tonight. Inga Cannon was described as an adventurer, a journalist, and a weaver of stories, a woman possessed with strong ethics and a deep faith. Tonight's recipient is most certainly a man who is possessed with a strong sense of justice and has worked throughout his life to see it done. He also demonstrates a deep faith in humanity and works with others to achieve a high ethical standard and a fair outcome for all peoples. Described as the man in the middle, he has led a distinguished career building up his legal training to work with various communities with focus on the impacts and benefits from major projects, especially for First Nations. His mediation efforts have sought to enable fairness for local communities and ensure that major natural resource projects are both managed sustainably and provide economic opportunities to the local level. To help us understand where these strong ethics and faith in different people to work together for common cause came from, tonight's winner wrote an autobiography that is essential reading for everyone that's connected to Lake Winnipeg, the Icelandic heritage, and beyond. Woven with care, the stories in his autobiography, Vikings on a Prairie Ocean, tell how he grew up in the Icelandic fishing community on Lake Winnipeg. The imprint of the Icelandic community marked him, and the model provided by his family enabled him to build a foundation for future success. And I think we share that success in this room. The hard work and community spirit that he experienced as a child in a family fishing enterprise is vividly described. The book is a testament to faith in the Icelandic community, its particular values, geographic influences, rituals, and memories. His written works capture these personal stories that evoke a distinct sense of place. His detailed observations have captured key pieces of the Icelandic history in North America. And in the story of himself, he has told a story which is the story of us. His writing shared the specialness of the Icelandic heritage, memories and connections of a small group of settlers from a small country, making an outsized difference in terms of their contributions to Gimli, to Winnipeg, to Canada and beyond. As a proud son of Riverton, Glenn's legacy is twofold. His professional contributions to making the world a better place, and a fair place for communities seeking just outcomes, as well as in his beautiful book, and continued writing that captures the essence of the Icelandic heritage. The stories of our hard work and hard history. Please join me in congratulating Glenn Sigurdsson as this year's Joan Inga Elnna Award winner.
Thank you so much, Ashley. Riverton was quite a tribe. I knew her dad and her grandfather. And it's one of the most distinguished families in New Iceland. They were in business with my family. Sigurdsson Carlson stores for many years. So, in many ways, and what occurred to me when I was listening to Bill speak, and Bill's view, the highest mark you should ever get in English is about 69. Because anybody who could get 80, that was just not a mark that was given in those days. And he actually kind of read the book, this book. And he did spend time in Riverton, so I included him in the trunk.
Now, what I was thinking about tonight, as Bill spoke, and the last 2 days, is a couple of sentences I wrote in both that just reference. Wally Oates, who was my history teacher, he was originally from, he adopted him as well. And they lived with my he asked us in about grade 11 to write a response to the question, is history fun? So that interesting response. Now I have this book. Is history everything? I could never have anticipated the ways I would revisit that question and continue to deepen my understanding of the answer of my life. History is a story, but a story with difference. We own the story. History is glue. It is as important to a group as it is to a person. History expresses what we share and how we differ. History is alive. It shapes the lens through which we see the world. History is identity. And that's really what we've been sharing with each other here in the room today. And it is our story. And when I looked out at the lake, which is so deeply infused in the way I work, and the stories and metaphors of people and circumstances which I have lived throughout my life, it has become my calling. The work I do living in the middle of other people's wars, and I've been involved. As he was speaking of the history right up there on the cover of this book, that's the MS Gold. Keel first laid in 1886, rebuilt many times after it. It met its demise, regrettably, in a fire in Riverton, where it was finally located. It was at that dock here for many decades. And we bought it in the Sigurdsson family bought it after we lost it in 1968, the JR Spear. Miraculously, the entire Peterson family was on it. And miraculously, nobody was lost. It was a true miracle. 20 people were in it. Both broke up. A miracle. Brilliant seamanship. The next most following who was able to stop it from reefs and everything. But that picture here was actually taken in 1933 on this dock. And the picture was painted by the man who did it in Bob Pollock in 1983. And I bought the picture at the time. It sits in my house. Now, the astounding thing is, to me, that dock is personal. My great-grandfather was responsible as the reeve of the municipality of Byford. Mayor of Gimli, and the first reeve of this municipality, to go to Ottawa, to persuade the government to build that here, and the one in Nasa. This one in 1900, in Nasa in 1895, largely because the ocean was, the lake was deeper there, so they didn't have to go far. Without those harbors, you couldn't function on this coastline. But our business was all over the north. I could say one other thing. The remarkable thing about the Icelandic community is I think we in many ways epitomize power. Because what we've illustrated is that you can be two inside one at the same time. We're Canadians. But we're stronger Canadians because we bring our own identity and background and strengths. And that's true of every immigrant group in Canada. And that is Canada's magic power, two inside one. And we have the ability. To provide the connection that the world needs. about how it takes to accommodate others and respect the fact that there's better opportunities than just one. And that's kind of the strength. That almost any other group. Because most immigrants come and they filter out into the broader world. We have the unique experience of connecting our identity to a place, to this lake. No matter where we circulate from, we have the mythology. As remarkable as it seems for a bunch of Icelanders, having come here, half shipwrecked, to land on a shoreline. That is truly metaphorical wonder. How in the hell some Icelanders would be cut loose, and they were actually on their way. I'm gonna say it again, to Icelandic River, because that was where the intention was, to go there. But they couldn't, because the storm was so great. They couldn't. So, I say this, that because we are fortunate enough to have identity in place, I think we've been a great precursor. We were one of the very first groups in the country, and I think we should be all proud of the fact that we have exemplified what it takes to be Canadians in the deepest sense of the word.
Just as Ash is going up, a little update at the end of the second period. I got good news. We're probably going to get to watch another game on Sunday. Down 5-1 at the end of the second. We can get 4 goals in 20 minutes.
All right. Final award is the strong and the long man, trying to pronounce it. And tonight's winner is a passage in many respects. I'd like to call out Channing Stephanie Evans, board member of the INLNA, for speaking to this.
Okay. Technical. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Unfortunately, this evening, Nelson will not be able to join us. And on the good side, days ago, while we were at Nelson Spa, and he's been very busy. It is the height of lambing season. He has not been getting a lot of sleep. So I'm going to quickly let you know a little bit about Nelson, but you're going to see a few photos over here in lieu of the presence of the family. So Ron Erute, I've had 6 different pronunciations of that this evening. I've asked everybody for their opinion. If you want to correct me, catch me after. Strong is the Icelandic National League of North America statement of identity describes that this way. We are stewards of our shared Icelandic heritage, preserving our culture through outreach, events, and community. The award I am presenting tonight reflects the summation of that statement and is the only award whose recipients are chosen solely by the INL directors. We want to acknowledge those who have cultivated, nurtured, and strengthened the bond between the Western Icelanders and Iceland, and the connection between all Icelandic clubs and organizations, plus the awareness in non-Icelanders by reaching out. This award is not given annually, but only upon very careful consideration. The INLNA logo and model were actually created by tonight's award recipient. Tonight's award winner is a very special human being. If you don't know him, you know him. Glenn, can you tell me if you're doing with your
Yeah.
Okay. He's a teacher, historian, artist, genealogist, architect, fundraiser, author, restoration expert, pastor, Wilbur Keenstrom, farmer, and he is the caretaker of over 70 goats, 22 ewes, who are all due this week. And cows in his ranch outside of Riverton. And I have to admit, he's a bit of a hero to some of us. Nelson Gerard was raised in Grand Manitoba. His mother Golda was Icelandic, taught her son about his heritage, and he connected with his Icelandic community on his visits to his farm in Riverton. He attended school and took his degree at the University of Manitoba under the tutelage of the amazing Carol Bethesson, who I had a chance to meet several times, head of the Department of Icelandic Literature, and he keeps ties with the university. He speaks and translates Icelandic and can tell you the family history of virtually every person in this room. 10 summers in hospital were spent investigating, confirming, and sharing genealogy. He is the author of numerous papers, historical articles, and books, including the Icelandic River Saga, the Icelandic Heritage, and the INLNA Saga. The work of a lifetime has been focused on the Icelandic immigrant experience in North America. His contribution to the Icelandic community cannot be overstated. Catherine Milspolter told me his research skills have created great resources about New Iceland for historians. Past honors include the Lieutenant Governor's Queen's Jubilee Medal, the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal, and upon receiving the Order of the Falcon in 2002 from Consul General Edward Gudnason, he was told, "What you're doing now and for your future work, the people of Iceland express their deep gratitude to you." And I hope you know, Nelson, people of North America share the same sentiment and appreciation. Tonight, I'm honored to present the Ron Ersu K Award to Mr. Nelson Gerard. That, what a response and what a good crowd we had. I'm actually feeling that the response from him that I'm going to read right now is kind of lined up for the scene. Let's see if I can find something to, okay. So this is outside the, this is the restoration project, and one of them, you'll recognize her. That's Nelson with Líðí. I met Líðí on Wednesday evening. Okay, so from Nelson to you. My sincere thanks for this honor and regrets that I can't join you for all this landmark convention marking the 150th anniversary of New Iceland. For me, the highlight of convention's past was always seeing INL friends from far and wide and meeting new people who share an interest in our heritage. The INL's motto, heirs who pay or strong as the bond, has special meaning for me as a fifth generation Canadian of Icelandic descent. My great-great-grandparents arrived in New Iceland in 1876, 149 years ago. My mother, who was born in 1920 and lived to be almost 100, had only a vague memory of presenting flowers to this pioneer couple, her great-grandparents, on the occasion of their anniversary when she was a girl. And as a farm boy in Western Manitoba, surrounded by my father's Scottish relatives, I grew up knowing almost nothing of the Icelandic language or heritage. Yet somehow I was always drawn to the Icelandic side of the family. Not until I moved to Winnipeg to go to the University of Manitoba in '69 did I find opportunities to learn about things Icelandic. Because I derived so much of value from the Icelandic language and heritage for so many years, I feel it's important to acknowledge the cornerstones that made it possible for me to learn about this heritage and continue to make this possible today. So the Icelandic National League was one of those foundational organizations. I first joined the INL in 1971, almost 55 years ago. So I have to confess this so that I could participate in the INL charter flight to Iceland that year. That trip is lifelong. And so is the scholarship to study in Iceland, which I received 3 years later. The Icelandic government offered one such scholarship for all of North America, and the INL was in charge of selecting the recipient. Yeah, things could have gone very. I still remember the letter I received from Hohenfelder Danielson, Secretary of the INL, informing me that I had this dream opportunity. I had already been accepted into graduate school in Sweden, but changed course without a second thought. I've always been grateful for the 3 years I've had at the University of Iceland, and I've always felt a duty to give back for that wonderful opportunity, which has been the catalyst for all my historical and genealogical work. None of this would have happened had it not been for the INL. And years later, as historian and board member of the INL, I was able to implement projects such as the Icelandic Heritage Science. Ever since its establishment in 1919, the INL has served as the official profile of the Atlantic community in North America. And though times change and generations come and go, this important role continues. The INL has a vital role to play today and in the future. I think this is a very important message from him. A second Icelandic touchstone for me was Lolbert Kingstringa, and as a first-year university student in Winnipeg in 1969, I thought of the downtown office of LH and met the editor, Caroline Gunnarsson, and I eagerly subscribed. Even then, I knew it was struggling, and I felt a strong urge to support it. I have been a subscriber ever since for 56 years. Every week, I look forward to finding Lolbert in the mailbox, my weekly dose of the Icelandic language, which I was eager to learn. Years later, on returning from Iceland in '76, I worked briefly at LH as assistant editor. I loved this job, but it paid very little, and I was advised in a fatherly way by Dr. P.H.T. Thorlickson to go back to university and get a real job. It was good advice for a young person, of course, but I've always believed in the importance of our paper. The third cornerstone for me was the Department of Icelandic at the University of Manitoba, where my learning curve in Icelandic really began. I still remember searching out the office of Helga Gustafsson, head of the department, for many years, knocking on his door. I had never seen a real Icelandic before. Although I was not able to schedule a class in Icelandic for many of my first 2 years, I audited the evening classes and eventually enrolled. My starting knowledge of Icelandic consisted of 5 to 10 words. I also discovered the Icelandic collection and reading room at the U of M with its wealth of sources on Iceland and Icelandic genealogy. And to make a long story short, all this led to the University of Iceland. I am grateful that our community mustered the resources to establish a chair in Icelandic in 1951. That was actually years ago. Largely through small individual donations at a time when money was scarce. I learned, for example, that my great-grandmother gave $2 when she was 80. There was no shortage of vision, loyalty, and determination in the Icelandic community, but that's a whole other story. One of the fundamental roles of the Department of Icelandic is to educate young people from each generation to contribute to the meaningful preservation of the Icelandic language and culture in Canada, now and in the future. And without it, we will have no captains to keep the ship on course. Sadly, our Treasury Department of Icelandic, the last of its kind in North America, is now at risk, and we in the Icelandic community must prepare to step up and save it. On a closing note, the rumors are true. I've gone back to our roots and become a shepherd. My research and publishing projects at Erebaki are ongoing. Silent Flashes, the book, Gimli Saga, a new 3-volume history of Gimli, the translated autobiography of Guðbrandur Erlendsson, and a book about my farm experiences in the invisible landscape at Viðidalur. The Silent Flashes photo archive, which preserves thousands of early Icelandic and North American photographs, is also ongoing and welcomes orphaned and unwanted photos and albums. That's another term. Yeah. Again, thank you for the work of the INL they do in helping to preserve and celebrate our heritage. Nelson.
We'll take this too.
Okay, we'll take one. So I can get a picture of you guys. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to the presenters. Thank you to the recipients. It's been spectacular, very distinguished. Before we leave to enjoy the rest of the evening with convention attendees, I really want to thank Oscar and Bethany for their amazing performances.
And make sure that everybody knows that there's a party over at the Ship and Plow immediately after this, or whenever you get there. There's still some snackies probably, and some, you can hit the bar, and I think that's about it.
I think that's it. Thank you, everyone.
Go Jets, go. Thank you, everybody. Yeah. You guys over? We're gonna.